Squeaky Benjamin is focusing on all of the crucial, vital, important issues. Since we're in the middle of a pandemic with over 500,000 Americans dead, we're functionally in the middle of a depression, or at the very least an extreme recession. I read a fact the other day that about a year ago, there was a moment where over 50% of the American people didn't have a job. Like, the actual unemployment rate was over 50%. So Ben is going to laser in on these issues and talk about the really important stuff. Let's see what he had to say.
People have asked me about this all the time. Do you use transgender pronouns? Do you use what they call preferred pronouns, which is not preferred, right? It's I require you to use it. It's mandatory pronouns, right? Is it because they're not preferred, right? You don't make the preference. It is that you require somebody else to use it, right? I have a preference to do X. If I have a preference that you do X, that is a mandate. That is now a requirement upon you. Okay, that is the lie about the term preferred pronouns. It is not that I prefer that you use this pronoun. It's if you don't use this pronoun, you're a discriminatory tool bag. It's a requirement that I do something. All of this is euphemistic garbage. In any case, the basic idea here, people have asked about using these sorts of pronouns, and here's what I've said. If I'm at dinner with a transgender person, I'll call them whatever they want. I don't care, because that's just being polite. But when I discuss, this is my basic rule, when I discuss people in general, when I'm speaking about them on a broad level, when I'm speaking about politics, I refuse to use pronouns that do not apply to the biological sex. I will not do that because words have meaning. I'm not just going to not use words that have meaning on the basis that somebody's feelings might be hurt. Because guess what? That is public policy, and that is politics, and that is reality. Sometimes the facts don't jive with your feelings.
He's so smug, it's amazing. The facts don't jive with your feelings sometimes. Talk to me about climate change. What are your thoughts on climate change? Tell me how so pro-science you are when talking about that issue. Tell me about Reaganomics, trickle-down economics. Got anything to say about that? Because, I know what they say, all these guys, about how it's great for the economy and it doesn't lead to boom-bust cycles and it doesn't increase the deficit and the debt massively. I don't know what you're talking about. Talk to me about that. Sometimes the facts don't jive with your feelings. You have plenty of beliefs, Ben, that are your feelings over the facts. I mean, that's beyond obvious for anybody who's familiar with, the range of your opinions. But anyway, I digress from that. He says in this clip, okay, I will use the pronouns that you want if you're a trans person in private. We'll go have dinner, we'll, talk it out, and if you were biologically male, born biologically male, but you become a trans woman and you want me to call you she, I will call you she. That's what he's saying. Okay, cool. But then he says, but I'm not going to use the proper pronouns publicly. Excuse me. So I'll say it in private, but I won't say it in public. I don't get that. Doesn't make sense to me. Why? If you're admitting that for private lives, you'll call people whatever they want to be called, well, then why wouldn't you also just do that publicly? It seems like a weird place to draw a line. You know what I mean? Like, there are other people who would say, no, I don't respect it, and I won't even say what you want me to say privately. But Ben is almost conceding the argument up front that, yeah, I'll call you whatever you want to be called. But then he says, but publicly I won't, but privately I will. It's almost like that makes such little sense that it's even more respectable for the out-and-out transphobe who's like, no, I'm not going to do it privately and I'm not going to do it publicly because that's what I believe. Like, there's no consistency. So obviously what my perspective is I'll say, if you're a trans person and you want me to use whatever pronoun privately, I'll use it privately and I'll use it publicly because I don't care. Who cares? It's not... imagine thinking about this issue, and this issue, keeps you up at night, and this issue drives you crazy. They wanted me to use she, and I'm not comfortable with that. Imagine it's some real beta shit, and it does, I'm sorry, but it does smell like some not being comfortable in your own skin. If you're taken aback by how other people act on these issues and feel about these issues and what they want. If somebody's really comfortable in their own skin, yeah, of course, I don't care. I'll say whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. It's not that serious. especially if it makes them feel so much better and it's not even a tiny setback for me. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? But he draws this weird line of, I'll say it in private, but I won't say it publicly. Well, you're living a contradiction right there. If it's something that you know in private makes them happy and it makes no difference to you, why wouldn't you also do it publicly? Why wouldn't you? There's no reason not to do it unless you're just like trying to be a douche, which probably is the reason. He is probably just trying to be a douche. So he does the whole facts don't care about your feelings thing while taking a contradictory position. I'll say this in private, I'll say this publicly. Again, at least say what you want about the out and out transphobe. At least they're consistent. At least they're consistent. But I almost called him Biden. That's weird. Ben Shapiro is not at all consistent. You know, what you're doing privately is what you should do publicly. And that would make a lot more sense to me. The position that he's espousing here honestly makes the least amount of sense to me. It makes the least amount of sense. Because again, even from the perspective of just the hardcore transphobe, it's like, you see why they're doing what they're doing. I don't agree with it, but I see their reasoning. With Ben, it's like, I don't even see your reasoning as to why you do it privately but not publicly. That makes no sense. Like, pick one and stick with it.